This is the all-new generation of the Mercedes S-Class. Join us on a full tour of the exterior, interior, now all digitalized, and also the other innovations as for safety, chassis, and possible driving prospects. Here, as you know, Thomas in front of the camera, Joan is behind, Full HD, full screen, and full length. Let's go. In the front of the all-new Mercedes S-Class, we can see the front grille is a little bit wider than before, and the headlamps, they are a little bit slimmer, but overall more a design evolution. This is the base S-Class, as it usually looks like, here also with the lower graphic. Typical standing upright Mercedes star. And the headlamps, they come standard with multi-beam LED already, so already a sophisticated high beam function. And optional, you can get these digital light with these blue accentuations. They have micro mirrors and can even serve as a projector on the street. Very interesting. And you can see there is one daytime running light stripe, and then there's 3 dots here to signalize this is the S-Class, where, for example, the E-Class has then 2 dots inside. So more a design evolution in the front, but that's also how the past S-Class generations have been updated. 5.29 m or 17'4" is the length of the new S-Class. Here in the long wheelbase version, 5.18 m it would be in the short wheelbase version, and the model codes are now either V223 or W223 for the short wheelbase version. This here, the long wheelbase version, is the more important one, sold more worldwide. In the US, this is also the standard one. The short wheelbase version rather for European customers who also drive it themselves a lot and don't rely so much on chauffeur purposes. And of course, on the US market, for example, longer vehicle is not such a problem. Both versions have been increased, like this, so slightly longer than before, but not a major change. Wheels start from 18-inch up to 21-inch. These here are the 20-inch wheels, and I think they are still a quite good compromise, not too big, but already quite massive, as for the visual part. The cars you see, like just visually, is also a little bit lower than before. Suspension-wise, it starts with air suspension as base. Option, you can get the e-active body control. This is then also with the function that each individual wheel can change the height, so you can, for example, lean inside a corner. And there's also an interesting new safety technology. You might remember it from the Audi A8, where they can actually lift one side in case of a crash just before impact. Here now the S-Class lifts all 4 wheels, so just in front, just a split second before a side crash appears, the whole car goes up and therefore sucks up the impact a little bit more, so then the impact goes more on the lower chassis. That's good for all people inside this vehicle, maybe not too good for people outside this vehicle. Yeah, that's the catch. Other than that, let's talk about the design. You can see here a typical S-Class design is here this window graphic, and also that the end of the window graphic is here on the line with the center of the rear wheel. Very interesting, and this has also been kept throughout the past generations, that you can always see, okay, this is an S-Class. You already maybe have seen here the integrated door handles. So standard would be standing out door handles, fixed ones, and when you go for the keyless go package, then you have these integrated handles. They're a little bit more, a little better for the wind efficiency, for example. Look cooler when they're closed, but of course, on the other hand, maybe a little bit more complicated. I don't know, at least you can pick that then. Overall, the aerodynamic efficiency has been majorly improved. And last point about, a little bit more about technology today. Very interesting that in the raw chassis, they already apply a special foam for better noise insulation. And while painting process, this foam basically goes up and then fills the gaps and does even more better sound insulation than before. So once again, new technologies being introduced here with the S-Class that later then maybe also come to other models. Now to the rear, what has been kept is the design clue that the longest point is in the lower area, that it more stands a little bit like this. This is also typical S-Class. What's new? You see here the new tail lamps with a modern signature on the inside and also more stretched, definitely, and more resemblance to the E-Class or even an A-Class sedan, definitely. And in the lower part, special investigation case for the Autogefuehl fake exhaust police. Is it fake exhaust or not? Let's take a look, because I talked about the designer about that, and there are actually three solutions for that. Either you do no exhaust graphic at all and just let it end at the lower part. That would be a solution, yeah, why not? Then you can actually have a big gap, for the real exhaust, because there's also a lot of heat generation and the real exhaust is moving. And then there's this, with the beauty exhaust tip, that you can integrate it in a very, slim way into the lower front bumper and then have the real exhaust on the inside. So that's the explanation behind it. Mercedes did this car clinic and asked customers, and they prefer this solution. However, here in the YouTube comments, usually people say either do the real stuff or do no fake exhaust graphic at all. Yeah, let's put it here in the comments once more, then Mercedes designers can read it. And important technology news. Mercedes has waited a long time, if you compare it to Audi or BMW, for rear axle steering. Now introduced here in the S-Class. And the special thing is the rear axle steering right here, if you go for that option, both for short wheelbase or long wheelbase, it goes in the opposite direction than the front wheels up to 10 degrees. That's like double as for the competition. So it's really, really massive. You will be able to see that from the outside. And this reduces the turning circle by 2 meters. So parking in and out and turning circle, of course, all at low speeds, will be massively improved with this one. It won't go all the way if you have the biggest tires, and it won't go all the way when you drive a little bit faster and at really higher speeds. And again, as we know from the other competitors, it moves in the parallel direction as the front wheels for more stability at higher speeds. And to show you some variation, first of all, a different color for you, here now in white. And this is also the AMG line. You can see here in the lower area, this is different, has a sportier look, especially right here. The front grille is the same, so this is also differentiation if you think about an E-Class, where the AMG line and also has a diamond pin grille. Here in the S-Class, it stays that way. Only the S63 later on will have a different front grille. Pretty interesting. Here also equipped with the maximum 21-inch wheels. Furthermore, this very vehicle is already equipped with the Level 3 autonomous driving hardware. Level 3 means there are already situations where the car indeed drives everything, so you are not responsible anymore. For example, on the motorway, there you have the LiDAR, so the additional laser sensor right here, and that's also the reason why the design of the front grille is like this. So you can have a normal version without LiDAR or this one with the LiDAR. And it will also have a cleaning function coming out here, and also here another camera in the front. You can see it here in the top part, and there will also be additional sensors in the rear, as well as some changes on the interior. Soon also more about that. And the rear of the white vehicle here to have a another design differentiation. Here in the AMG line, by the way, you can see there is this diffuser style here in the middle part, but the exhaust tips are all the same. As for engines, this here will be the standard engine, inline 6-cylinder turbo petrol engine, either as 450 rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, or as the 500 S500 just with all-wheel drive. This will also be the base for the new plug-in hybrid with an electric range of 100 kilometers or 60 miles. And then also the 6-cylinder diesel, 350 rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, or the 400D then always with all-wheel drive, and then there will also be the 8-cylinder petrol engines, also with the performance model, the 63 as usual, of course, and the Maybach will get the 12-cylinder. By the way, yeah, you say Maybach, that's the German pronunciation, not Maybach, it's Maybach, when you can pronounce it. New car key here for the S-Class, and it feels quite heavy and solid, so solid materials, but a lot of black piano lacquer use, so catches also fingerprints and so on. When you then press the opening button, you can see here the handles come towards you, also with Mercedes-Benz lettering right here. Then the normal door closing sound. Interesting. This has like a classic car door closing sound a little bit, doesn't it? Like, it feels modern and rich on the one hand, but also with a nuance of G-Class door closing. Or don't you think so as well? Pretty interesting. But there's also, when you have that option, the soft close. Magic. So, and then let's begin with the interior inside of the doors. Completely new design. You can see the integration of the daytime running light. Then also a new graphic here to control the seating. And you see they don't move too much, these ones, as I did before. It's more like, it reacts on what you do still, but it doesn't move. Not sure if that's like a step forward or backward, I don't know. And also the typical window levers right here. The lights are now controlled here, but gladly still with a normal switch. I like that. Then you can see here vertical air vents right there. New digital instruments, soon more about that. This is here the wooden steering wheel with the, let's say the painted wood in black with the coating above that. And you can see the new steering wheel design. This is the base steering wheel. We know it from an E-Class facelift with capacitive buttons. Yeah, about that. Soon more about the functionality. And there's also the AMG-Line steering wheel available. If you go for an AMG-Line, unless you go for the wooden steering wheel, then it switches back to this design. But when you go for an AMG-Line, it's both exterior and interior. Again, unless you pick this steering wheel, then it will be, again, like this. New seating. This is also here a new form of seating. You see, it's almost like molten lava that went over the lower part of the seat. But we'll soon take a test seat. By the way, if you want to go animal friendly, Mercedes also says now sustainable luxury is their new topic. You can also go for a full fabric interior with the new S-Class. You could also do that before. Then you get all in fabric seats, which also has the practical advantage that they stay cooler in summer and warmer in winter. It's not in the price list, but you can just ask your Mercedes dealer, and then you get animal-free seats. And not at launch, but also then very soon you can also get an animal-free steering wheel with a high-grade leather wrap around. So it is possible, but not yet pushed by Mercedes, at least in this segment. They do it in lower segments already, but not here. So their sustainable luxury term is not true yet for the S-Class. Yeah, okay, for the 8-volt board light now, for example, for the new petrol engines, that's already good. Here definitely things to improve, but at least you can already order it animal-free with the possibility. News as for the cushions, they are also now available here for the front seats, and because they have direct head contact, they are also here in this plush microfiber surface. This feels very cool. Yeah, if you go for the full fabric interior, by the way, you will have also one of the most exclusive S-Classes, because not all customers pick that. So yeah, that would be one thing to make your S-Class even more exclusive. So test seat here now, and these seats are really like very plush and feel like a little bit like blown up. So yeah, it makes really like a sofa-like atmosphere. So far very comfortable. Of course, soon more about that when we do extensive driving parts and so on. Sometimes I feel, we also talked about it in the Bentleys, when seats are too plush, you don't feel like sitting in the seat anymore, but rather like on really like on the seat, or being like, almost push off the seat, figuratively speaking. Yeah, so we have to see about that long term, but a very interesting seating position, definitely. Very different also from an E-Class, for example. But these pillows, these soft pillows, they are really awesome. So this is really very cool. So that, gives you really a kind of living room atmosphere and even more comfort. So you can also understand that they strive towards autonomous driving with this vehicle. All level 2 systems here, by the way, for autonomous driving. Well, that's not already autonomous driving. It's level 2 is like all assisted driving is standard here now in this vehicle. And you can already order the hardware for level 3 so that you can really let the car do its thing and you're not responsible anymore in, certain limited areas. Not allowed yet by regulations, but the car could already do that hardware-wise when you order this special package, by the way. So the seat control, as I shown you earlier, is done from the inside. And again, I don't like it that I don't really get like a haptical feedback. It's more like I just touch this area and then something happens. For example, here, the lower part of the seat is being lengthened or shortened. You can see it right here in this lower area. But, as these control parts moved before in the previous generation, that I think it was easier to control, especially when you're not looking at it while driving, but just feeling it. Steering wheel control, also electric, up and down and in and out. And everything really looks and feels high class. But here the stalk columns here and this part of the steering wheel, this doesn't resonate quite as much to the rest. But here, the outside parts, they do. Here with the metal knurling around, that's definitely really cool and very beautiful. So with 1m86 or 6'1", my size, put the seat in the lowest position. Here there's still some headroom left. This car is also equipped with a panoramic roof. And there is this slider now here in the middle part when I turn on the ignition. And this can actually open the roof. You can also do it with the voice control, for example. And here you can see it brings even more light than in the interior. This is then a shade. This would also be possible when it's really too sunny. Welcome to the new S-Class interior. By the way, if you see flickering IR lights, this is perfectly normal because when you turn on the 3D instruments, then they track your eyes, that you can have a three-dimensional look. It's not appearing really on camera, and also these lights do not flicker for the human eye, just on camera. Well, what can we see here? First from the design, there's a top vent here, like 4, but smaller now than before. Then horizontal design stress here with the ambient lighting. We can also adjust different colors here. Of course, Thomas Blue in full brightness. Then a lot of, like a full dash here. Here again with a lot of black piano lacquer. Not my favorite here, but here you can also get different decor elements. Then this new 12.8-inch screen, but in this vertical form. It's always like this and hardly any real buttons left. Left side always these 12.3-inch instruments. They come like this as standard and optional then with this 3D function. Soon more about that. Once more, you can also see the steering wheel here and like this in the base shape. Also buttonless. This is like one big capacitive button. It does give you some kind of a feedback, acoustic and also haptic feedback. Sliders here, for example, also for the volume control. It is better done than, for example, with the Volkswagen solution. A little bit easier to control. Here you also have right thumb control for the center screen and left thumb control here for the digital instruments, for example. So for a capacitive button solution, it is one of the best. Still, the previous generation was better in this case, I think. Here you can also set the cruise control, for example. Yeah, and I think design-wise, the AMG steering wheel is definitely a more beautiful one we've shown to you already in the E-Class facelift review. Then the start-stop engine button is right in the middle here. This is still, like with the metal knurling around, you just press it. Then soon more deals also to this screen. Here you have one, button layer here, one still for the hazard lights. This is here for a fingerprint, so you can individualize your user account and you press it and then automatically, this is Thomas now controlling the car, and then all my settings are being loaded. Muting button and volume slider here, but again, just sliders. And then this lower part here, you can, this will catch a lot of scratches and fingerprints. You can slide this one here open. Then you have two USB-C ports for the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto connection. There's an inductive charging pad for your phone right there as well. A lot of space, adaptive cup holders. And then there's this middle console with the known split opening like this, and some more space and charging USB-C ports. Very interesting top console here as well with the lighting all around. And by the way, here again, IR lights are just flickering for the human eye. Well, and then we've already shown you the functionality like with this slider to open the sunroof, but this is like, I'm not sure if this is really a step forward. Also a real button here would have been better, I think. Now more details to this infotainment unit. First of all, the climate unit here is in the lower part and just also on the screen for the vent strength and also for the temperature. The alternative would be the voice control. Hey Mercedes. Hey Mercedes.
How may I help you?
Increase temperature.
I'm increasing the temperature to 23 degrees.
So that would be one solution, for example, for that. Still, I would prefer manual sliders. Unless you don't care when you have a 22 degrees Celsius automatic set all the time anyway. Yeah, let's see about that. The hotkeys here do react a little bit with the screen. For example, then here for, some assistance systems. So you can, have some, shortcuts here. Other than that, you do everything with the screen indeed. Here, for example, here for the car settings, for the language. The lights, this is always, of course, a very nice one because you can set like monochrome or multicolor. Here in blue, for example, or then to green or whatever. So a lot of different colors are available. And I would always put the brightness here all the way up like this. That's, of course, really cool. And the effects, by the way, so you can have this feedback, for example, that when you change the temperature, then also the ambient lighting shows red color and so on. And also, on the passenger side. So this is a very interesting effect here. So almost like a little bit like in a discotheque. Pretty cool. So there's also a new massage function here available. I'm hot enough at the moment at least. So here, for example, mobilizing massage, and then there are different dots in the seat. Oh, that's nice. Okay, we can leave that for the rest of the review, but I have to concentrate for now. So phone here, connections, you can directly access it here via Bluetooth either. That would be one possibility, or CarPlay and Android Auto also works wireless. Then there's here this comfort function. You can click once again. This is then where we had the massage menu. Navigation or GPS look like this. That's of course pretty impressive. Also here it looks quite responsive actually how it is like this. So that's nice. And once again, the MBUX can be used for the GPS input. You can either use the activation word or press it also on the steering wheel. Drive me to Berlin.
Starting route guidance to Berlin.
So that actually went quite well and quite quick. And also some car functions. You can, for example, activate the head-up display also with the voice input. That's also possible. The main news is rather here that you have this individualization for the MBUX, that it really recognizes actually who is who, and that you can also then, there's also then, here, the voice guidance, the route guidance, that you can actually recognize the individual driver. And here, even in this main menu, you still have the GPS route set here. So, yeah, very interesting. On the one hand, pretty fancy. On the other hand, you have the limitation that everything is done via touch. And yeah, this is, of course, definitely, splitting opinions. Or what do you think? So here deep in the menu, like settings, audio, entertainment, you have, you know, not only a 3D sound system from Burmester, but also a 4D sound system. That means 4D sound, you have speakers inside the seat which also vibrate. Rolls-Royce had that before, for example. So have a bass vibration in the seat. That is very interesting. And when we test it, wow, whoa. Yeah, that really vibrates a lot in the seat. Very interesting, and also serves at the same time like a bass massage. So a very interesting function. And what I found also very interesting is that you can individualize your experience or your personal sound profile like this here. You can reconfigure it, and then this is Gottlieb Daimler. So you can start it, and here, for example, you can set like what's your personal comfort volume, and here then once again for the high tones, and here the balance between, you know, different sound profiles. How you want, I'm not sure if how much you can hear from it, but it's really always like what kind of sound is really suitable for you, and more like left and right, where the sound is also coming from, and here, you know, like bass, how heavy it shall be from the drums and so on. So that's really interesting. Here, once again, you can have it more bass heavy, or you can have it more language focused, or more brilliant, clearer, more intensive. So that's really interesting. And here, surround or 3D sound all the way up. And then once again, if you want it warmer or more neutral or gentle, and then you can compare it actually, like what's the original playback before and what's your personal sound profile. Yeah, so really nice thing to play around. Now to the digital instruments, we have different stylings available. So for example here a bright new one or more sporty one. So you can adjust so many things in here. This is all possible. You also have an own menu then here which you can control, or like this view is again possible, understated. This is a sport gauge, it's the exclusive gauge. There's a classic gauge like this, or then there's the navigation view that you have the map all over the screen. So yeah, definitely a lot of things to discover right here. But to control it here with the sliders, you can, for example, zoom in and out. But again, to control it here with the sliders, usually you would do it with a thumb. At the moment, I'm doing it with the index finger. This is so much more complicated than before, and you know, it is not about liking or not liking. It's just about the functionality is worth the control input, the user input is worth than before. We just have to say that. The optional head-up display now appears a little bit longer in your line of sight, so more far away from you, so more on the road, and either has a basic function or then optional. You can also go with an augmented reality head-up display. It's a different hardware indeed, more extended. It's also one you can see at the moment, and just, you know, while driving you would see all the functionality, for example with moving arrows directly projected on the road where you have to turn. Fingerprints are part of the reality. Also when you activate the 3D view for the digital instruments. And once again, the IR lights, these can just be seen on camera. You do not see them with the human eye. However, you do see the 3D effect with the human eye, but that you cannot see on camera. So what we are seeing at the moment here is really like a third dimension. So this is like the display would have another layer inside. So the map looks like three-dimensional, and also these lights or these cameras, they are there that you can actually move your head left and right, and then it still appears three-dimensional. But once again, we cannot display that on camera, sorry. CarPlay and Android Auto now also available wireless, and then it looks like this. The integration goes all over the screen. I think I would get it just with the standard door handles, wouldn't you? I mean, like these sliding out ones. I don't know. Yeah, about that. So, rear door closing sound? Yeah, that's again, I think that's really cool. It really has this door closing sound heritage. So, then here the long door, of course, for the long wheelbase version, which is again standard in the US. Here you also have a sunshade that goes up like this. So once again, down, hidden very nicely, and up. And the same seat control as in the front seats. Then You can see here the standard configuration would be a bench that goes all the way through with 5 seats. Then there are electric seats on the outside available. And then you can see here this different option. Then in the middle part you have this going through console, then with the single seat setup. And for the long wheelbase version, it's also this executive version available, where then the passenger seat in the front can be moved all the way forward for more executive seating in the rear part at the right. Here also, by the way, the rear cushions, they have been before, but they now can be heated. So there's this optional heating package available where then these can be heated. They can still be taken off, and then there's also a magnet connection for the cable then for the heating, so you can still take it off. Very interesting. But the most important thing is that they're very plush and comfortable. So getting inside, and when I have the seat as I would be driving here in the long wheelbase version, still plenty of legroom left. And of course, one of the rare cars where the rear seats feel pretty much equal to the front seats. And once again, this very comfortable cushion, yeah, probably still one of my favorite things here in the S-Class. Reviewing this vehicle and controlling the seats is always a little bit tricky because, once again, you have to reach over here to the door. Otherwise, it wouldn't be such a problem. When the door is closed, you can even slide this one forward even more, or you also have this, this program to put it back up here once again. But you can really find a lot of position. You can even, put the head restraint a little bit higher and so on, and then you can find your executive position. However, I have to say, nowadays when you have these luxury SUVs, you have a more upright position in the rear. So when you ask me, best comfort for rear seats, not anymore the executive sedans, but rather indeed the big SUVs as for the rear room and so on. New here for the rear entertainment, this is also an option, and then you can actually do everything you can also do in the front, but you can also send stuff to the front screen then, so you can individualize that. However, there's also a function available that from the front you can block this here at the rear, so that your kids, for example, can interfere with that. Big safety news here, by the way, is that for the very first time in this spec and from extensive package, there has been one exception from Nissan before, but now here there is a rear seat airbag available. It will blow up like this here. It's an option. It is for both rear seats then, and it can also be combined with child seats, so works for smaller and taller adults. And it will have a combination of a more stiffer bag on the side and then a softer bag on the inside. So we have a massive airbag here also for an impact for the rear passengers. That's again a very, very good safety innovation. Again, not the very, very first time that has been done, but the first time in this extensive package they are offering there as for the safety. More to show you right here. For example, here also with a table you can fold out, so there are a lot of functions still to discover. Here in the middle part you either have a separate tablet you can also get, where you then once again can do everything you can also do with the rest of the infotainment system, and you can also see how it's being mirrored right here, so live mirroring here on the tablet and also on this other screen. So it goes back in automatically. You can put this whole console here up like this, and then you could have a second table in here, for example, or you can also store this one here, and on the inside 1, 2, 3, 4 more USB-C devices and 2 HDMI, and on top of that there is a covered ski hatch where you can reach through the trunk, and here in the front part there's the AC unit for that, if it would be powered, and also heated and cooled cup holders. And then, of course, this executive function, so you have this hotkey where you can press that one, and then you have here, of course, the most space in the car. So here the front seat then goes all the way to the front, like this. And then there's also, it takes a while, but I think while driving very long route, you have the time for that. You will also have, the additional footrest. And this is now the final executive position. So it took like a minute and a half or something. You see me with 1 minute 86 or 6 with 1. it does not fit directly, so I have to bend my legs a little bit, so it's not optimized for my size or for my height. More like 1 meters 80, 6 foot. Then I think it would exactly fit. Everyone who's taller than that, this executive function is, yeah, not with stretched legs. You have to then somehow be like this or something. And another interior for you. With the E-Class, for example, you can pick AMG-Line individually for exterior and interior. Here with the S-Class, when you go AMG-Line, it's both exterior and interior combined always. So we also have then here AMG-Line interior, so it looks a little bit different, and also the color is different here, but you can individualize that as well. You have a sportier decor element in this, mesh style. You also have it all the way here over the center dashboard. I think it definitely looks sportier and less piano lacquer is then being used. For example, here also in the middle console, you can see, let me close that. Here, this is also better against fingerprints. The only thing here, you would usually have this AMG-Line steering wheel, which looks better, but when you go again for the this painted wooden steering wheel, then you have the classic steering wheel. So this is the only thing which is not standard AMG-Line then in here. By the way, at the seats, you can see here the seatbelt holders, they have lighting all around. This is also a very interesting detail. Yeah, the color choice here is okay. Someone likes that? I don't know. And in the rear here, we have the bench that goes all the way through. However, this is already the option with the electric seats. So what you can do is here, you can fold this one down and then again have this tablet here in the middle and some more space in this case. But this is again the option that you can still somewhat use the middle seat here. Climate unit and is there in the front. By the way, my shoes are from leatherette, if you wonder. So go inside here, and yeah, this becomes, gets very close, is probably only for rare situations where you really need the fifth seat. And one thing we cannot show you today is the trunk, because here in this, early stage prototype vehicle, it is still full of stuff, and there's also, additional recharging from the battery that doesn't die from the electronics and so on when it's being used in the studio and so on. The trunk, however, is a little bit bigger than before, 550 liters or 14 cubic feet. And now to our conclusion for today with the all-new Mercedes S-Class. From the exterior, rather an evolutionary change, but I think that works quite well, and I think it's very remarkable that they really kept this, this core design of the S-Class and didn't do anything which is too crazy. I think that wouldn't have fitted also to the expectations of the so far customers of the Mercedes S-Class. Very interesting that this car is also already available with the level 3 autonomous driving hardware at least. Of course, it has been in discussions with the regulators and so on, so it needs to be allowed first that you can really use it. But at least you can already order the car with that when it is allowed at a later stage then. Really looking forward also, with these new sound dampening measures. It is a very silent car already in the so far generation, supposed to be now even more silent while driving. And also that the level 2 autonomous driving system, so where you're still responsible for everything, but the car basically can almost do everything on its own already, that this one is already now standardly included, at least in most markets. Interior-wise, a completely new design. This is definitely a revolutionary change, both from the design and from the user interface. I think the design itself is still quite essential. That's nice. However, the user interface, you have more functionality and a lot of cool innovation there as well. Yes, but the user interface is definitely worse than before. To control the capacitive buttons on the steering wheel is more complicated. To have everything just in the touchscreen is more complicated. Yes, Tesla also does that, but their user interface software is better and easier to use then. That's the thing. So, and here definitely a lot more complicated than before. And I'm not sure if that's really a step forward in this case. However, you have also nice functions like with the 4D surround system. A lot more things to play around with, definitely. You can also get this car animal-free on the interior, however, just on demand. I think they have to push it more. And next to a fabric alternative, they should also offer a leatherette alternative like BMW does now in the BMW 5 Series. because maybe you want to have the very same look and feeling like with an animal skin leather, but still want to have it animal free and better for the environment. So you should have the option that you're actually able to do that, because Mercedes says, hey, we are sustainable luxury, but they are not yet in the S-Class. As for the engines, at least some mild hybrid systems for the petrol engines. That will maybe be a little bit better for the combustion engine consumption. So the 6-cylinders will also be a good choice. And of course, when there will be the performance models, we'll also keep you updated as for that. So very interesting impressions here for today. The crash safety has also been further improved, but then it's always the thing, when you improve it for one vehicle, what about, the other one that is involved in the accident? Always maybe something to consider as well. So thank you so much for joining us here today. Leave us your feedback to the all-new Mercedes S-Class in the different aspects. A lot to discuss, definitely a very interesting and unique car. And we can expect that some of these technologies definitely will be found also in future Mercedes models, or maybe even in the cars in general. You might remember that the S-Class once was the very first car that introduced the anti-lock braking system, the ABS. So thank you so much for tuning in today. See you next time.